Episode 22 of the Interpretation Station is Call to Order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the Interpretation Station, and welcome to, it's very exciting this, a new episode format. Yes, I'm being very creative these days. We've got the tutorials, we've got the quizzes, and now we've got this special format of episode, which I think I'm going to call Wham, Bam, Thank You, Roland. Okay, do you like that? Catchy? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so this format is going to be much quicker than the tutorials. Probably just 10 minutes. You know, you're all busy people. You haven't always got time to do the big long tutorials, I know. So these are going to be little short, 10 minutes, perfect for the 21st century attention span. So this is based on, if you follow me on my LinkedIn page, you'll know that the weekend I started doing a new thing. I started just taking a random sort of sheet from a statement, a page, and annotating it, showing how I would deal with it in the event of having to interpret it. Now, the premise is, so the annotations I give, this is not a translation, okay? It's not a translated text. I'm imagining that I'm hearing this statement coming through and that I don't have a text, okay? And let's say that the sound quality is, it's on the RSI, dreadful sound, lots of interference, you know how it goes. And, your priority is just getting across the bare essentials. You just want to strip the text down to the bare minimum, make sure the message gets across, but just doing away with all the excess fat, as it were. Okay, so that's the point of these annotated texts I'm doing. Now, the reason I'm doing this show, what gave me an idea to do this format on top of this is a follow-up. So actually, Andy Gillies, I'm sure you'll know who Andy Gillies is. At the weekend, he asked me to actually give a breakdown of what I'd chosen on the page. So that's actually going to be up on the EU's interpreter resources website, which I'm going to leave a link to in the description box. So there it's actually, I wrote out like a commentary on why I'd chosen what, just giving some of the background, some other alternative solutions. Anyway, so that was written, but it gave me an idea. Why don't I just make a show, a quick 10-minute shows on these same texts that I'm putting up, giving you the commentary, telling you exactly why I've chosen to do what I have done on each page. And so voila, here we are. This is the first one, the first Wham Bam, Thank You, Roland commentary. So at this point, and with that little introduction, I am going to scurry off into the corner down there. You won't have to look at my pasty face the whole time, and I'm going to put up the text as you will have seen it at the weekend. Up on the main screen. So I'm going to share my page with you. So this was a text. It was actually Cuba. It was actually last week by the permanent representative of Cuba to Geneva, and it was on a meeting of the Human Rights Council on the prevention of genocide. And this was like the second page of it. So let's see what I did, and let me sort of just explain, go in a little bit more depth as to why I chose what I did. So as you can see, hacer avanzar. So just one word in English, okay? Further, classic example of where you can compress two words in a foreign language into one English word. English is great like that. So further, it's a really good word to know generally, as a sort of synonym to things like promote. Further is very good. Injerencista. So why did I put that? Interventionist, right? Whenever the discussion, whenever there's any talk about US foreign policy or Western foreign policy, and when it's one of the sort of, shall we sing, your Cubas, your Venezuelas, your Russias, whatever, the chances are they're going to refer to Western foreign policy as being interventionist. Crucial word to know. So obviously in Spanish, that word is injerencista. Okay, Senora Presidenta, you probably know by now, when they say these sort of references, when they say distinguished president, distinguished chair, esteemed chair, it's fat. get rid of it. Just cut it out. If you're under pressure, terrible sound, you don't need it. Take a breather, all right? Get rid of it. Okay, so then he goes on, this gives you a set of adjectives here. El bloqueo económico, comercial, financiera. He's going to forgive you if you miss out one, okay? So that's why I put the 2 out of 3 there. That should do, everyone, that gets the message across. Okay, what have I crossed out in the next line? El gobierno de Estados Unidos. Everyone knows it's the government, We know it's not Billy Bob in Louisiana who's imposed those sanctions, It's the government of the US. So you don't need to say the government. It's just the US. That says it all. And then we go down here, a couple of lines further down. Masiva flagrante sistematica. Once again, he's going to let you off if you drop one of those adjectives. 2 out of 3 is just fine. Derechos humanos de todas las cubanas y cubanos. I think in this situation, it's legitimate just to call them Cubans, okay? Oh, okay, I know literally he means Cuban women and Cuban men, but Cubans, I think, covers both bases. And unless the statement is delivered in a specific context, let's say on the role of women in politics, whatever, specifically the women's role, I think here you can just say Cubans and don't worry about it. Okay, a tenor de la convención, so just under the convention, you don't need to say like in keeping with, in step with, under is just fine. Okay, then they have this long convention name, Convención para la Prevención y Sanción del Delito de Genocidio. Okay, so this whole meeting is about prevention of genocide. So we're gonna assume that this has already been raised by other delegations earlier on in the meeting, and that everyone pretty much knows what you're talking about. So at this point, rather than giving it this whole cumbersome full name, just call it the Convention Against Genocide. Easy peasy. Okay, then moving down. Okay, so se ha recrudecido. So these are a couple of useful words to reflect this idea. Okay, has been ramped up, has been ratcheted up. Another one occurred to me, cranked up. Okay, whenever they talk about the pressure being cranked up, ratcheted up, that's the image. It's a good image to have. It's a much more vivid image. I mentioned this actually in the written commentary I give on Andy Gillies' site. So when you hear that recrudecido, imagine, the film Goldfinger, James Bond, Goldfinger. James Bond is lying basically on a torture table, and Goldfinger, or is it Oddjob, is just raising the pressure, the pain on his machine. He's ratcheting it up. He's ramping it up. You know the scene I'm talking about, when Bond says to a Goldfinger, "You don't expect me to talk, do you, Goldfinger?" And Goldfinger replies, "I don't expect you to talk, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die." You know the scene, all right? So think that when you hear recrudecido. Okay, next line, pandemia de COVID-19. What other pandemic do we ever speak about these days? You know it's COVID, so you don't even need to mention it. I would just say in the middle of the pandemic, everyone knows it's COVID, all right? As I've noted, you can see there on the right. Then, okay, esa política contra Cuba representa, these verbs like representa, constituye. Sounds very nice if in English you can say to constitute or represent or are tantamount to. Very nice sounding. But they take up a lot of time, so you can just say is. It's very simple, not unfortunate, it's not fancy at all, but that's what it means. It just is. Okay, representa is just a fancy way of saying is. And then, okay, here now I put the brackets, principal. Why did I do this? So in English, I think more so than in other languages, we can convey greater impact to certain notions just through stressing a particular word. So we can just say, this policy against Cuba is the obstacle to the economic, social development of our people. Just putting the impact into that word, the, basically reflects the whole notion of it being the main. So we don't even have to say main or principal, obstacle, whatever. That italicized the does the job for you. Okay, going on. Económico y social. Okay, you can just portmanteau it together, socioeconomic. Again here, constituye un violación flagrante. Again, just say it's a flagrant violation. If you've got more time, sure, go for it. Say this constitutes a flagrant violation. But again, terrible sound quality, you're under pressure, just keep your life, make your life easier, just say it's. Okay, next paragraph. Nuestro más absoluto rechazo. Okay, this is a classic example of a foreign language using 2 or even 3 words. You could say más absoluto rechazo, 3 words to reflect a notion that in English you can just beautifully sum up in one word. Okay, so that is basically repudiation. Okay. English is great like that. I'm only just coming to realize this myself. English has such a rich vocabulary that there are so many of these constructions in other languages where to get the idea across they use like the adverb plus a verb or adjective and noun. And in English, there's already just one word already just sitting for you to use, to which you don't need to add any adverb or anything. Repudiation says exactly what más absoluto rechazo says in Spanish in 3 words. So try and build your arsenal. Try and build a reservoir of these glorious English single words, these really impactful single words in English. They're real great time saver. Moving on. Okay, so then we come down to por quien quiera, contra quien quiera y donde quiera que se cometa. Okay, this is a bit of a buzz cliche I've noticed in the last couple of years. They certainly use it at the UN, and they probably use it elsewhere also. By whomsoever, against whomsoever, and wherever committed. They'll often trot that one out, so it's just it's good to have an idea of how that comes out. It's always by whomsoever, okay, not just whoever, but whomsoever. And then going down a couple more lines, aquí individuos u organizaciones. So here again, again, if you press for time, you could individuals and organizations. I think in English the word entities basically covers both bases. And then you go on, you don't need to specify specific individuals, organizations, just say entities and carry on. And then this last word here, radican, reside. It's a word that I sometimes, I know I forget that word. So, sometimes with particular words, it's always good just to give yourself a reminder of them. So that's why I put it there. So, that's it basically. Wham, bam, thank you, Roland. I hope that was helpful. The great thing about this for me is that it's so quick to do. Geez, the misery I go through when I make the tutorials. Making the tutorials is a piece of cake, the actual filming it. But then the next day when I have to produce it, oh my God, it's like swimming through treacle, I tell you, trying to put all that together. And I'm still fine-tuning my technique, I think, as you can see. But anyway, hopefully the substance of the tutorials and these things helps you. Anyway, so if you've enjoyed the episode, there's going to be plenty more of these coming, by the way, plenty more. They're so easy, as I say, so easy to film. If you've enjoyed it, press the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Just smash that subscribe button. We're getting close now to 300. Hopefully, I should have another tutorial coming out at the weekend. That'll be a Russian one. And if any of you guys out there, if any of you want to contribute, by the way, to the interpretation station, doing stuff like this in any language combination, okay, I will give you a platform. I'll put your work up. As long as it's good enough. As long as it's good. Just similar like this, like doing a page annotated. Had the best way of basically tackling that statement, as I say, in any language combination. I will give you a platform, okay? So if you're interested, just message me, whatever, okay? So, I think that pretty much covers everything. So all that's left to be said is that episode 22 of the Interpretation Station is adjourned. See you next time.